onto the Clifton Suspension Bridge, in case you haven't spotted it. It's there. Now, hopefully by now, you're all aware that this was, of course, designed by Isambard Kingdom Brunel. He was appointed chief engineer at the age of just 24 years old. And the first thing he started working on was the abutment. So the abutment refers to this triangular wedge, which is bolted onto the side of the gorge. So we're currently stood where that little man there is. Can everyone see that? Yeah. And so we're currently stood directly on top of the abutment. So beneath us is that triangular wedge there. Now the purpose of this is to build out the side of the gorge. So without this flat platform here, this tower would have to be about 100 metres back that way, thus lengthening the bridge, making it a bit less achievable with the Victorian engineering they had at the time. So the purpose of that abutment is to build it out and make that bridge just a little bit shorter. Now if we look over to the far side of the gorge, you'll notice the cliff is vertical, it's that sheer face, and so there isn't that same need to build out the side of the gorge. You can see under the tower there's that very small abutment there, but nothing compared to what we're standing on at the moment. So this abutment alone took 4 years to build, from 1836 to 1840. After that, the abutment was sealed up and they began working on these two towers, but by 1843 they started running out of money. Brunel was very good at designing, pretty rubbish at budgeting. And eventually by 1853, all work on the bridge was abandoned. And all that was left were these two towers with no deck going between them. Now Brunel went on to other things like the SS Great Britain, Great Western Railway, but eventually died in 1859. At which point 2 more engineers come along and finish off the bridge by 1864. But by the time they finish the bridge, Brunel's dead, and all the engineers and builders working on it are different people. And so they have no idea what has happened underneath us and what the designs underneath us look like. So these vaults are completely forgotten. No one knows that they're there. And that remains the case for about 160 years. There are suspicions over the decades. So the university comes along, they drill into the stone, they try and scan it with ultrasound machines. But because the stone is so thick, they're unable to actually conclusively prove that there are any vaults underneath us. Now that remains the case until 2002, when there was a happy accident when a man called Ray Brown was inspecting this paving slab here, where this manhole cover is. Now he lifts up that paving slab and discovers 2 rotten railway sleepers. Now thinking that's a bit strange, he lifts up those railway sleepers and discovers a big hole in the middle of our bridge. Now Ray there looks very happy. Our engineers were a bit less happy, because they just discovered a big hole in the bridge which they didn't think was there. So naturally we need someone to go and have a look. We need someone to go down this dark shaft, which no one's been in for 160 years, don't know where it goes, don't know if it's safe. So we bring in a guy called John, and John says, yep, sounds like great fun. And so down John goes with his harness and his abseiling gear, and he gets lowered down this dark shaft. And as he's wriggling down, he spots a junction. He'd go left or he'd go right. And he goes right, and he emerges into one of the corner chambers. He spots another tunnel, goes through this tunnel, and emerges into the largest of all the vaults. And he shouts something up which I can't repeat exactly. It's along the lines of, it's really big. But what John eventually uncovers is an intricate system of 12 vaults. He's the first person to go into them since 1840, when they were sealed up by Brunel and his engineers. Now we're not going down that way today. We're going to go through a very conspicuous red door instead. But before we do go down, I'm going to point out 2 details to you which will help you orientate yourselves when we do get downstairs. So first of all, if you look at the corners of this tower here, you see how they're shaved off? We call that chamfering. So the corners are chamfered off. You'll notice it's like that on this tower in contrast to that one, in which the corners are pointing. That's one of a few differences between the towers. There is a reason for it, and we'll talk a bit about that once we go down. Now, the other thing I want to point out is just the location of these toll barriers going up and down here. Just remember that point in your heads. It will become relevant once we do go downstairs. Okay, does anyone have any questions at this point? Yeah. Most of his engineering
Wow. Oh, wow.
And Jen said that there'll be lights.
Wow.
So it does look very different with the lights on, absolutely. I'm just going to talk you through the things that you can see in the image. And then you can kind of tie to those. Hopefully, in explaining what we can see, you've got, all of the answers, but if not,
Oh, damn. Keep out.
and the second is light related. Always nice to have a bit of a sound and a light show on the tour, right? So I'm going to get. Is everybody okay with a just to check? Is everybody okay? So basically because of the way that the water
Oh, damn. Keep out. That's it. Bye bye.